So, one of the big stories that we had seen coming out of the Vegas Golden Knights system this offseason was what they would do with one of their original misfits. One of the guys that was taken onto the team back in 2017. And a guy who really cemented himself in the NHL with Vegas. After many years of bouncing around in Tampa, Florida, he was in the AHL, he was in the NHL. It was never really too consistent for this guy. Today we are talking about former Vegas Golden Knight and current Nashville Predator, Jonathan Marchessault, and going over some really interesting updates and information that we have just learned in the general public from some insider sources. So, let's go out there and talk about the status update here. Jonathan Marchessault is 33 years old, and he just signed a contract with the Predators worth $5.5 million a year. This contract goes on till 2028-2029. It is a 5-year deal, and Marchessault will be making this amount of money till he's 38. It's a lot to go through, honestly, but realistically, I mean, the guy is worth it right now, considering the fact that last season he had 69 points in 82 games played. That isn't a career high. He had 75 points in 77 games in 2017-18. But if you couple that with the continuous point-per-game playoff runs, the one playoff run in 2019-20, okay, he was half a point a game there. But when the Golden Knights went to the finals both years, Marchessault was a point per game or just above it. This guy, along with Riley Smith, really made many Florida Panthers fans upset when he had his burst of success with the Vegas Golden Knights right away. Now, when it comes to Marchessault and his departure from Vegas, we all kind of knew that this was going to happen. The Golden Knights don't really like to give the bag out to many players, and it's pretty common for them to not really treat the guys that they have with the most respect in contract negotiations and contract-related elements. I mean, the way that they got rid of Marc-Andre Fleury, how he had to find out via Twitter, the other names that have been in and around the Vegas organization, they're kind of ruthless when it comes to the way they handle the players on their team. And for Jonathan Marchessault, there was already a bunch of speculation saying, hey, he's probably not going to re-sign in Vegas. He's going to be able to get a payday here. In the past few years, he was making $5 million, and he could very realistically stick around in the NHL at that dollar amount or get even more. And he'll probably want a longer-term deal too, so Vegas, whether or not they're wanting to explore that with him till he's maybe 36, 37, 38 years old, it just doesn't seem like a Vegas thing to do. And that's exactly what happened. Marchessault went to Nashville. He signed a $5.5 million deal. He's with Stammer. He's with Josi. He's with Forsberg and Nyquist. The Preds are looking deadly. But with all this in mind, I wanted to turn your attention to an article published by Mathieu Paradis on toursurlehockey.com. This is a piece from July 30th, actually, so 2 weeks ago, pretty much, and it goes over how Jonathan Marchessault and the Montreal Canadiens was indeed a thing that was discussed. The quote here says that it wasn't just the duration that was wrong with the Canadiens. Let's go out there and read this article. There are a few very interesting things about this, not just about Montreal, but about Vegas too, and how it turns out that he actually got lowballed pretty badly in this spot. Jonathan Marchessault spoke in an interview via RDS after he had signed a new contract with the Predators. By his own admission, he mentioned that the Montreal Canadiens came in second in the most attractive offers. In the end, the Preds' offer of 5 years for $5.5 million a year, in addition to seeing his friend Steven Stamkos land in Nashville, convinced him. That being said, we know more about the Canadiens' offer, but also about the Vegas Golden Knights' ridiculous offer. The article talks about how Marchessault got that $5.5 million by 5-year deal, but the article then says here, in response to the news that the Canadiens were in the running to sign Marchessault, Kent Hughes explained to the media that he was not ready to go 4 or 5 years with the Quebec forward. We know that Kent Hughes remains committed to his plan for the future with the team, and even if Marchessault was an interesting piece to add to become a little more competitive, 4 or 5 years of a contract remained too long as a commitment in Hughes' eyes. We can therefore deduce that an offer for a 3-year contract was on the table. In reality, it wasn't just the length that was wrong with the Canadiens' offer. In fact, I was allowed to learn, the writer of this article that is, Mathieu Paradis, from a source, close to Marchessault's clan, that the Canadiens submitted a 3-year offer with an AAV of $4.7 million a year. We were therefore a little less than $1 million of difference with the offer submitted by the Predators. However, when we consider other factors, we can understand Marchessault's decision. So I didn't really see many people talking about this, how the Canadiens offered 3 years by $4.7 million a year. And that's honestly a pretty alright deal. I think it's a little less than what Marchessault could have gotten on other teams. I mean, he literally got more with Nashville, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was maybe like a third or a fourth team giving him offers that would have been more than what the Canadiens ended up proposing to him. But if you scroll down into the article here, this is where things get very interesting. Ridiculous Vegas offer. To get the other piece of information that I was allowed to learn, indeed, the Golden Knights organization was never really mentioned in Jonathan Marchessault's interviews. Was there really an attempt to keep him? The forward explained to Radio Canada that it is possible that the Vegas Golden Knights did not believe in him for the rest of his career. During the interview, he admitted to having rejected an intriguing concept about an offer from the Vegas Golden Knights. This intriguing concept that Jonathan Marchessault rejected was actually a 7-year deal from Vegas, a contract that would have allowed him to finish his career in Nevada as he wished. However, the annual salary was, according to my information, $1 million a year. There was no mention of bonuses in the discussion, which actually makes the concept of this offer quite peculiar. So it turns out, if you wanted to go out there and believe this writer here, Matthew Paradis, on toursurlehockey.com, it turns out that Jonathan Marchessault got offered a $7 million 7-year deal, and no, not $7 million AAV, $7 million total, a $1 million AAV deal by the Vegas Golden Knights. They thought that Jonathan Marchessault would go all... Who was the guy that did this in New York? Blake Wheeler, yeah. The Vegas Golden Knights thought that Jonathan Marchessault would take that Blake Wheeler fat discount and significantly reduce the amount of money he's going to be able to make for the rest of his career just to stay in Vegas. The guy got 5 by 5.5. Do the math on that. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 0.5 is 2.5. So $27.5 million is what Jonathan Marchessault is going to be making on the next few years of his deal. Are you telling me that the Vegas Golden Knights were like, hey, you can stay here in Vegas, we'll give you 7 years, and you will be making $20 million less than you would be if you went over to Nashville? That's absolutely insane, and Jonathan Marchessault, of course he rejected that. Of course. He went out there and said, no way, Jose. I'm not staying in Vegas if my life depended on it if you're only going to give me $1 million a year. Like... You can say that the Montreal Canadiens offer was already a little bit low, $4.7 million 3 years. Maybe that's a bit of a lowball offer, but Marchessault's from Quebec. Of course, he considered it, and he said that the Canadiens were second on his list of preferred destinations with the contracts in mind. But to hear Vegas's absolutely terrible, disrespectful offer, $1 million a year for 7 years? This dude scored 69 points last year. He had 40 goals. That's not a player that's worth $1 million a year, and even if he wanted to take a fat discount, shaving off like $3-4 full $1 million as to what he actually could have gotten on the open market, that is way too much. So Vegas, do I want to say Vegas strikes again? I don't know. At least the Montreal Canadiens had multiple millions of dollars per year attached to the contract. I guess you could say that maybe the biggest factor for Marchessault was that Nashville went more years, because to hear that Montreal's offer of 4.7 was actually second in terms of what he wanted to sign. I mean, I would not doubt that there were probably some other teams that offered more than 4.7, maybe even just a tad more than 5, right under what the Predators offered Marchessault. It's just, you know, Quebec players, they love to play in Montreal, and Marchessault would have been great in Montreal. It's just... I get it, you know, Kent Hughes didn't want to go 5 years. He wanted to go 3, he wanted to go 4, he ended up settling with 3 in the offer. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. How do you feel about Jonathan Marchessault's extreme lowball offer at the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights? And how do you feel about the Montreal Canadiens getting involved in this as well? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this. And bye.